Awesome. Hi everyone, my name is Mitchell and I'm from the Early Start Discovery space, and today we're going to be doing a few little science demonstrations to look at how important water is to us and to the whole world. Water is a big thing. Obviously we drink it, it's a large part of what we are. In fact, we're probably made of a lot more water than you realise. And to help me show this, I've actually got, you can see I've got a little friend here. He doesn't have a name yet, so if you've got an idea for a name, feel free to leave a comment, let us know, and we can name our little friend here. But what I'm going to do is actually start filling him up with water, so we can see how much water is inside our bodies. Okay, so I've got a lot of water here, and I'm going to pour some of that inside. I'm going to start filling him up. Ooh, it looks like I've got a lot of water in there already. But not enough. We've actually got more water in us than that. I'll keep on filling. Keep on filling. Ooh. He's getting pretty full now, isn't he? He's busting a little bit. That's okay. Here we go. I'm going to keep on filling him up with water. Ooh. Let's see. Oh. If I get our little friend out here, ooh, you can stand up a bit better now. I'm going to keep putting a little bit more water in. More water, more water. Because in our bodies, we're actually made up of about 60% water. So that's more than half. That means that most of us, most of you and me and of our little friends here, is actually made up of water. And we get water in our bodies when we drink it. If we drink things that contain water, here we go. So when we drink things like juice or soft drink, that all has water in it. Or if we eat foods that have water in it, so maybe things like sauces or gravy or anything really, and we fill up with water to about 60%. But of course we also lose water. We have to keep refilling our bodies with water because we keep losing it. So where would we lose water? Well, maybe if we're playing a lot and we start sweating. Maybe if we get sad and cry a little bit, our tears are made of water. If we scrape a knee or something, then we'll bleed and there's water in our blood. And of course, we also lose water when we start going to the toilet. So here we go, our little friend here is going to fill up our little beaker there. Oh, there you go, buddy. He's going to be a little bit busy for a while, I think. So we'll let him go to the bathroom and do what he needs to do. But meanwhile, in the whole world, there's obviously a lot more water than just the water in our bodies. So I want you to imagine for a moment, oh, here we go, I've got a big container full of water. And we're going to imagine that this is all of the water in the world. Obviously, there's a lot more water in the real world. But imagine we shrunk the world down and we wrung out all the water, and this is what we got out. It might seem like this would be a lot of water, but actually most of it is in places that we can't get to or we can't drink from. Let's have a look at that here. I've got another little container. In this container, I'm going to put all of our water that's inside the ocean. So salt water that we can't really drink. Here we go. I'm going to pour this in. Ooh. A lot of the water in the world is actually stuck in our oceans. Here we go. More than that, more than that, more than that. Ooh. In fact, I think it might actually be a little bit more than that still. There we go. So out of all the water that was in this container, this is all our ocean water. It's salty, it's full of fish and dolphins. It's kind of difficult for us to drink this. We can filter it, but it takes a lot of work. So the rest of this, this is our fresh water. Our water that isn't salty, but even this stuff is still locked away in lots of different places. That makes it hard for us to get to. So that's about 97% of the water in the world. That's a lot. But then also locked away in our ice caps and glaciers, so at the North Pole and the South Pole, where there's all that ice and snow. That's about 2% of the water that's the water in the world. That's a little bit more than that. There we go. So that's about 2% of the water in the world is trapped away in ice at the North and South Pole. We've also got water that's stuck in the ground. So it's so far underneath the ground that we can't actually get to it. And that's about another 1% or so. So then the water that's left over for us to drink is, hold on, that tiny little drop on my, oh, it's fallen down actually. So yeah, that's all we've got left. I've just dropped all the drinking water in the world. Someone get me a straw. There's really not that much of it. So it's really important that we take care of the water that we do have. Now, water can be a little bit tricky to take care of because obviously we don't feed it or take it for walks like we might care for a dog. And water has a lot of different properties or does a lot of different things that makes it difficult to look after. So if I get some of our seawater here, well, let's see. Obviously our seawater, like I was saying before, it's got a lot of salt in it. So we're going to put a bit of salt into this water. I've got some salt here. I'm just going to pour it in. There we go. And you see when our salt comes out, it's in hard little crystals. But when we mix it into our water, it disappears. It actually dissolves into the water. So what was hard little crystals suddenly becomes just part of the water. I'm going to do that with something else as well. I've got a little bit of colouring here. And you can see I've got a lot of water in this. Just a tiny little bit of colouring. I'm not even going to put it all in. But it'll make the whole, all this water is going to change colour because of that. There we go, just a tiny little drip in. Let's give it a bit of a mix again. There we go. Even with just a tiny little bit of colour, all of the water changed colour. It dissolved. It dissolved the salt and it dissolved the colour. And it doesn't just dissolve solids and liquids, it can also actually dissolve different gases. And that's a little bit hard to show because a gas is something like air. It's something like the air that we breathe in and the air that we breathe out, which is a little bit hard to see. We can't really see the air. But we can do a quick little experiment with this because the colour that I used in this wasn't just any old colour, it wasn't like food colouring or something. I used a special kind of colour called an indicator. And an indicator will let us know how acidic something is by changing colour. So right now, our water is green. And that means it's neutral. So it's not very acidic and it's not very basic either. It's nice and in the middle. That's kind of where we want our water to be. But if I blow through this straw, something's going to come out with my breath. Something called carbon dioxide. You might have heard of that before. It's something that we make when we turn on electricity. It's something that we make when we drive cars. It's a product of making power. And when enough carbon dioxide gets up into our air, it actually starts to dissolve into the water and it makes the water acidic. So what we're going to see, I'm going to blow the carbon dioxide from my breath into this cup. And if it goes yellow, that means that we've actually made this ocean water that we had, we've got the water from the sea, we've got salt in it, just like normal seawater, it's actually going to become acidic. So let's take a quick look and see what happens. Look at that. It's gone really yellow, hasn't it? Even with just that one breath that I put into it, that's made our water really acidic. And of course, lots of the animals that live in the ocean, the fish and the turtles and the coral, they don't really like living in acid. So it's up to us to help take care of our oceans because it's really important to our world. It's a huge part of our world and it's really important to us as well because it's a huge part of us. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining in and coming along and looking at a few of these different demonstrations we've been doing today. And I hope your National Science Week has been going really well. And we'll see you next time you come into the Discovery Space.